the structured future, the content pillars for season 4. And this is where the commitment level for the listener seems to get, well, intensely real.
Yeah, intensely real is a good way to describe it.
Because prior seasons, maybe you dipped in and out, you listened when a specific myth needed correcting or a topic caught your eye. Sporadic consumption.
Right.
As needed.
But season 4, based on the sources, introduces this highly structured, very repeatable format. It looks like it's designed to demand but also reward daily consistency. This feels like a massive strategic shift away from just content consumption towards something more like a spiritual curriculum.
I think curriculum is a really apt word here. The shift toward regimentation, toward a fixed schedule, is perhaps the single most defining characteristic of this whole rebrand. It fundamentally transforms the show.
How so?
It takes it from being maybe a reactive resource, something you look up when you have a question, into a proactive 6-day-a-week discipline tool.
6 days a week. 6 days. And for the learner out there, for you, if you genuinely want to integrate faith more deeply into your daily life, this structure could be a very compelling offer. But, it also carries significant risk for the show.
Okay, let's detail that fixed schedule first. It starts October 5th. What does the week look like? And then we can analyze the strategy and the risks.
Okay, the schedule seems built on 3 core content streams, but they combine to total 6 days of commitment per week. The bedrock, the anchor, is Sundays.
Sundays. Makes sense for a faith context.
Right. Sunday hosts the core weekly guided meditation episode. This continues the practices that were already established back in season 3. So that's the main longer form spiritual practice session.
Okay, so Sunday sets the spiritual theme or focus for the whole week ahead.
Precisely. That's the idea. Then you have the Monday through Friday commitment. This is the daily piece.
Monday to Friday.
These are the daily devotions and reflections. And the sources are explicit. These are designed as short-form content, very brief. And their purpose is to expand upon or help you reflect on the topic that was introduced in the Sunday meditation.
So it creates this through line.
Exactly. It acts as daily spiritual reinforcement, little touch points throughout the work week, creating a seamless continuity from Sunday's deeper dive.
A Monday through Friday commitment like that, especially if it's short, feels designed to integrate immediately into, say, a morning routine or maybe a commute.
That seems to be the intention.
But still, 6 days of content, Sunday through Friday. That is an intense schedule to promise to listeners, especially today when everyone's digital environment is already so saturated. What's the risk you mentioned that comes with this density?
Well, the primary risk has got to be audience fatigue, right? Burnout. Daily content is a massive commitment, not just for you, the consumer, trying to keep up, but also for the creator, Pastor Young, to produce consistently. However, the strategy here is likely banking on a core psychological principle: habit formation. Spiritual growth, like developing any skill, really requires consistent, small, daily actions, not necessarily massive, sporadic efforts that fizzle out.
Like going to gym once a month versus daily walks.
Exactly. So the risk of fatigue, while real, might be mitigated by the strategic use of brevity in those daily pieces, which we'll get into more detail on shortly. But the overall goal seems clear. Make the show indispensable by making it a daily fixture in your routine, not just something you listen to, but something you do.
It essentially becomes like an automated spiritual rhythm provider. If you miss one day, it's not a disaster. You just pick it up the next morning.
That's the key insight, I think. It's much more about establishing the discipline, the habit, than it is about catching up on missed content or information. Now, there's also the third pillar in this structure, which lands midweek.
Okay, what's that?
Wednesdays. Wednesdays are dedicated entirely to the House Church series. This isn't just a one-off topic. It's a weekly, sustained focus on the practical application of gathering believers together, but specifically outside of traditional church buildings and structures.
Interesting. So if Sunday is about internal stillness and meditation,
right,
and Monday through Friday is about reinforcing that internal discipline through short reflections, then Wednesday seems focused on the external expression, the community practice of faith.
That's exactly how it lays out. It feels like a complete package designed to address, the mind, the spirit, and the relational component of faith practice.
It's comprehensive.
Very. And strategically, this 6-day structure, it ensures that Pastor Young maximizes engagement potential. He becomes a constant, reliable presence in the listener's life, ideally. They seem to be attempting to move beyond just being a favorite podcast you listen to toward becoming an essential tool for your daily living.
And that fixed, regimented schedule is the infrastructure that enables that shift.
It's the trellis the vine grows on, so to speak.
Okay, fascinating structure. Let's dive deeper now into the specifics. Section 4, the actual content streams. We have the structure, now what's in it? Starting with the primary driver, the main event, meditation.
Right. The Sunday centerpiece.
You mentioned that season 3 already did the heavy lifting on justifying it, explaining the why and how, discussing the biblical origins.
Correct. That groundwork seems to be laid.
So season 4 then is free to focus purely on the experience itself.
That seems to be the pivotal distinction. The ongoing goal of these weekly Sunday meditations, according to the sources, is purely transformative. It's about the outcome. The descriptions focus on leading you, the listener, toward calmness, toward deep reflection, and engaging in transformative practices, all aimed at deepening your faith and finding genuine inner peace.
So they're not arguing for meditation anymore.
No need. They're delivering the experience of meditation. The assumption is that the listener tuning in to season 4 is past the need for basic instruction and is now ready for consistent application. They want the practice, not just the theory.
Okay, makes sense. Let's shift then to the communal element, that Wednesday House Church series. Dedicating a full weekly episode just to this topic suggests it's pretty central to Pastor Young's vision for this sort of post-not-your-parents-religion community he's fostering.
It definitely feels core, not peripheral.
What's the theological rationale they provide in the sources for focusing so heavily on house churches?
Well, the rationale provided is described as being deeply rooted in Scripture. It cites the fundamental biblical teaching, the idea that believers must gather together.
For what purpose?
Several, actually. Corporate worship, mutual fellowship, providing encouragement to one another, and also, importantly, the sometimes challenging act of admonition, holding each other accountable in love. The House Church series aims to provide a practical, actionable blueprint for achieving these biblical goals, but specifically in decentralized, more relational, home-based environments.
Okay, that's the principle. But let's be honest, abstract discussions about fellowship and admonition don't always grab a modern audience's attention. This is where those specific episode titles you mentioned earlier from the recent list become really insightful. They show how Pastor Young seems to be translating these abstract principles into raw, relatable, sometimes messy situations.
Absolutely. Those episode titles aren't just labels. They function as strategic marketing tools. They're designed to signal authenticity and relevance right off the bat. Consider episode 211, for example. The title is House Church Evangelism, Redefining Success and Taking Spiritual Authority.
Okay, it sounds practical.
It is. And it's nearly 29 minutes long, so it's a substantial dive, not just a quick thought. It directly tackles the challenging topic of outreach, of evangelism, but the focus is on redefining success away from maybe numbers or buildings towards relational comfort.
How so?
Well, the key contrast highlighted in the description is the difficulty many people feel just walking into an intimidating, formal, traditional church building.
Yeah, that can be daunting for newcomers.
Very. Versus the relative ease and comfort of meeting people, sharing faith in comfortable, familiar, relational settings like someone's home.
So that episode directly addresses the practical barrier to entry that the show's original title, Not Your Parents' Religion, was kind of reacting against in the first place.
Exactly. It moves the conversation from just criticizing the old model, which seasons 1 and 2 might have done, to actively building a workable new one. Here's how you do outreach effectively in this different context.
Practical application again.
Always circling back to that. But then the strategic brilliance, and maybe also the biggest risk, depending on your perspective, lies in episode 210. The title is The Cross-Dresser Controversy, How One House Church Wrestled with the Issue.
Whoa. Okay, that title is intentionally explicit and provocative.
Definitely designed to catch your eye.
But wait, the use of explicit controversy like that seems fascinating. If the whole point of the rebrand was to move away from intellectual confrontation and toward inner peace and guided meditation, why deliberately introduce such a potentially volatile, controversial topic right into the mix?
It seems to serve a very crucial strategic purpose, actually. It's about demonstrating the authenticity and the relational capacity of the house church model itself.
How does a controversy demonstrate that?
Well, the episode, according to the description, uses this highly polarizing situation, the presence of a cross-dresser in a house church gathering, to illustrate a stark contrast. It discusses how perhaps a traditional pastor in a large church might react, maybe with public humiliation or exclusion, versus the core goal of the house church in this scenario, which is described as genuinely representing Christ, showing love and grace, even within a challenging, raw, unfiltered, real-world situation. It's messy.
Ah, I see. So it's a powerful signal to you, the modern learner, that this community, this model of church, isn't afraid of messy reality. It's prepared to handle the ethical complexities, the relational challenges of the real world without just defaulting to institutional judgment or easy answers.
Precisely. It leverages controversy not for the sake of conflict itself, but as evidence. Evidence of compassionate relational faith and actual practice. It's basically saying, look, we aren't afraid of these difficult issues, and this model provides a way to handle them with grace and authenticity.
That must be incredibly appealing if you're a listener who values honesty and relational depth over, say, polished institutional perfection or pretending difficult things don't happen. Yeah.
I would think so. And it connects directly back to the core utility of the whole rebrand. They're essentially proving that the practice of faith, fostered through things like meditation and authentic community, leads to better, more compassionate, more Christ-like outcomes, even when, maybe especially when challenged by real-world controversy.
Okay, that's a very sophisticated use of a potentially divisive topic. Now, finally, let's look at that Monday through Friday content, the daily devotions and reflections. We noted their commitment to extreme brevity. You found examples showing a length of about, what was it?
Around 1 minute and 29 seconds, like very consistently short.
90 seconds. That's a highly specific, very short time commitment.
That specificity feels like a deliberate strategic choice. It's designed to minimize as much as possible the barrier to forming that daily habit we talked about.
Makes sense.
If a daily devotion were, say, 10 minutes long, how many times would you postpone it? Oh, I'll listen on my lunch break, or I'll catch it tonight, and then maybe you don't.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
Exactly. But at 90 seconds, it's almost instantly digestible. You could listen while your coffee brews or walking from the parking lot into the office. This intense commitment to brevity seems engineered to optimize for consistency. It directly addresses that risk of audience fatigue we discussed, the risk that comes with asking for a 6-day-a-week commitment.
Okay, but how do they achieve genuine spiritual substance, real application, in only 90 seconds? That seems like the challenge.
It is, and the way they seem to do it is by focusing almost entirely on pointed reflection questions. Questions that demand immediate internal work from you, the listener.
Ah, questions, not just mini sermons.
Exactly. We can see the structure if we analyze the examples provided from a specific series, the May 2025 Power of Praise Daily Devotion series. The questions cited are clearly designed for self-examination and immediate application, not just passive information transfer.
Give me an example.
Okay, one question they pose is, how does your view of God impact the way you worship and praise him?
Okay, that forces you to connect your theology to your actual practice.
Right. It forces an immediate internal evaluation. Do my beliefs about God actually line up with how I express praise and worship, or is there a disconnect? It demands that connection between belief and behavior.
What's another example?
Another question cited is, how can you use your talents and gifts to bring glory and honor to God through praise?
Okay, that's very practical. It demands tangible application.
Yeah.
It pushes you to identify specific actions you can take using what you already have.
Exactly. It's about activating what's already there. And crucially, another question asks, how can you incorporate praise and thanksgiving into your daily prayer life?
Ah, so that one requires you to actually restructure an existing daily habit, presumably prayer, by consciously integrating this new focus, praise, that was likely introduced in the Sunday meditation.
Precisely. It's about modifying existing behavior patterns. So you see, the 90-second content isn't shallow. It's intensely high yield. It ensures that you, the listener, are continuously applying the theme set on Sunday through rigorous, albeit brief, daily self-reflection and calls to action.
It really is an incredibly robust, tightly integrated system when you lay it all out like that.
Wow.
All designed for long-term spiritual discipline, built piece by piece, day by day.
That seems to be the clear objective.
All right. We've established the content structure, the 6-day commitment, the rationale. The final strategic pillar we need to examine involves the platform itself.